Good afternoon and welcome to Rubbing Minds. My name is Isabella Adeliji. Happy 2024. Now, 2023 was that year, you'll agree with me. The year started off with so much hope and anticipation in the air. I'm talking about Nigeria Decides 2023. Irrespective of which candidate you supported, there was that hope and desire for a better Nigeria and a candidate that would take Nigeria to that desired promised land. And as we ushered in a new administration under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, so many things started to happen. We had the removal of subsidy on petrol. We also had the floating of the naira, which led to devaluation, inflation rose, and of course, we still had some security challenges. So much happened in 2023. But as I cast my mind back to December, it was all about Dirty December, not to be confused with Dirty, D-I-R-T-Y. Dirty December was a time of merriment, and despite all the problems in Nigeria, we still saw that areas of recreation, clubs, bars, they were all packed. Religious centers, Nigerians came out to celebrate. And is that hope that we have in 2024 that it go better? Now, in 2024, if you go by some of the social media platforms, especially X, formerly Twitter, there's a collective sense of no grief for anybody. 2024 is that year where we're not going to agree for anybody that's coming with negativity or anybody that's in our way when it comes to our success. Now, to discuss the factors that will shape 2024, whether it's socio-political, economic, all the factors that will shape this year that we're in, I have with me a policy analyst, Timi Olagunju. Welcome to Rubbing Minds.
Thank you for having me.
So, Timi, no grief for anybody. Is that your slogan? Are you with Nigerians on that?
Well, interestingly, I saw a few people talking about the no grief for anybody slogan. And I said, I beg, please, grief for God. That's my own mantra this year.
My own is grief for God, grief for family, grief for loved ones, grief for favor, grief for opportunities.
Yes.
I like that flip, taking it on a positive note. Now, in terms of the factors that will shape 2024, if you cast your mind back to 2023, what are some things that you see in particular? Let's start with the economic landscape. Do you see things getting better? The naira was floated. We know what the exchange rate is. Is that something that will continue to drive what's going to happen in Nigeria?
Interestingly so, I think that will be, particularly when you look at, firstly, the economic position. Because, when you talk about economics, it's about, firstly, the Maslow's hierarchy of need, food, clothing, shelter, then other, needs, as it were. And when you look at that economic position, you see that increased inflation in terms of prices of goods, particularly food items, and also the issue of the, dollar-naira discrepancy, and then, a couple of those things will definitely weigh on Nigerians consistently. However, there are certain positions that have been laid out as solutions, policy solutions towards, mitigating the effect of this continued downward slope.
You spoke about inflation, and we know that inflation cuts across housing, it cuts across food, even things like basic drugs. When we saw some of the multinationals depart from Nigeria and the cost of the naira to dollar, we've seen drugs almost quadruple, sometimes 5 times, 6 times the price. Are we going to see policies? Are we going to see the government coming in to make sure that some of this medication is available for the masses? Are we going to see food coming down, the prices of food? Because when you think about what's happening in the middle belt, security challenges, that has affected the cost of food.
To be frank with you, I do not see it. Maybe other people do see it. Frankly speaking, when you look at the trajectory of things, we can actually expect consistent increase in the prices of things. And then also, it all depends on, the policy framework and the actionability of this framework. We've had a lot of talk in 2023, particularly in the new government, and then 2024 hopefully will be the year of action, because as it stands now, the suffering has been tremendous on the Nigerian people. I remember recently when the president decided to do a tour through the market place towards his home, country home in Lagos, and the people at the market were actually saying, ebbing power, which means that people are terribly hungry, so to a large extent, I do not see a lot of, in terms of policy framework, there's a lot of talk, but we've not seen a lot of actionable positioning in terms of dealing with the issue, in terms of the downward slope of the naira as against the dollar and foreign currencies, in terms of the prices of goods and services, particularly food, clothing, shelter, and things of that nature. However, what would have been expected was that the budget, the 2024 budget, will show a similitude towards reciprocating a line of sacrifice, because the removal, which is not even a complete removal, the World Bank has stated recently, a few days ago, that it wasn't a complete removal. It was just a reduction in the subsidy offered. It's not a complete removal of subsidy.
And it's interesting you bring that up, because when the subsidy was removed, now that we know it's partial subsidy removed,
yes,
there was a lot of talk about palliatives, making sure that the vulnerable amongst us were going to receive sums of money to help cushion. How has the government fared in that regard?
Well, the road to hell can be littered with a lot of good intentions. One would have expected from a policy positioning that those kind of, plans for incentives and the likes would have been put in place even before the subsidy was removed. But then we had a flip-flop where we had the subsidy removed, and then the government was running a task-getter to find a way to cushion the effect of such on the Nigerian people. And then what we see is the fact that despite the sacrifice that has been put on the Nigerian people in terms of the removal of subsidy in quotes and things of that nature that has spiraled the cost of goods and services, we've not seen a reciprocal sacrifice on the part of government.
And you wanted to speak about the budget.
Yes, the 2024 budget, is evidence is the end of argument. When you look through the numbers in the budget, the allocations in the budget in terms of building new house for the vice president, which house did the previous vice president stay before then? In terms of, buying new cars, which cars that the previous officials used earlier, in juxtaposition to the sacrifice demanded from the Nigerian people, we do not see that kind of policy language from the 2024 budget as it stands. That budget should be, to achieve renewed hope, there should be a budget of sacrifice. We didn't see that kind of, policy of fiscal, financial rhetorics in the budget. Now, when you now come to it, palliative itself, rather than the palliatives getting to the Nigerian people, we are hearing stories of some persons allocating the Nigerian hard-earned, suffered, sacrifice funds out of the fuel subsidy, which is supposed to cushion the effect, of the economic burden on the Nigerian people, being distributed into private hands. It's quite appalling.
So the government needs to do better to show that it's also sacrificing the way the Nigerian people have been made to sacrifice. Now, I want us to move to security, because this has always been a challenge, whether it's unknown gunmen, it's banditry, it's Boko Haram, it's insurgency, it's militarism in the Niger Delta. In different forms, security has been a challenge. And just over the Christmas holiday, we saw what happened in Plateau State with all the killings. We've also seen where the Nigerian army has come out in a few months ago to say they are sorry for a mistake where they bombed a community in the quest to end all the insecurity. What should this government be doing in 2024 to protect the lives and the property of the Nigerian people?
I'm not a security expert, but common sense, they say sometimes is not common sense. And commonsensically, I would expect that the government focuses on dealing with the culprits. The culprits of this act are people that our intelligence forces are capable of fishing out without any political motive, if it is the motive of humanity, not the motive of politics, you would see that our intelligence agencies have the capacity to fish out this kind of people. For example, have you seen situations where the Nigerian police is motivated to actually do their work? You'll be shocked at the level of intelligence requisite, located in the Nigerian police itself. And sometimes you feel disappointed by some of the things they do. But the fact is that the political will is the first machinery towards ensuring that we remove all traces of politics in the situation here and focus on human lives by ensuring that the culprits are fished out and dealt with in a way that justice is not just done, but evidently seen to be done. That's the first thing. Because when evil behavior is not punished, right, it festers. What you promote is what becomes popular.
And I start to remember, I believe it was General Sani Abacha who said that we should look out when something hasn't been dealt with within 24 hours. It's political. Are these killings politically motivated?
One is tempted to assume that they are, because if they are not political, they are economic. The truth is that human nature is profit-driven. So there must be some profiteering, either economic profiteering or political profiteering, that has allowed this kind of action to fester, such that the value for human life is not put into consideration in the whole scheme of things. And that's something that we need to deal with. The most important resource for Nigerians, even for the government, is its people. Irrespective of the mineral resources, the natural resources, and the people are the most important resource. And the Nigerian government needs to show a commitment. I would expect
heads to roll?
Yeah, absolutely. I would even expect that the presidency shows a key concern by ensuring that the president visits that particular location. We've seen people who are ordinary Nigerians, like Very Dark Man, and even the BBC run documentary on the situation there.
Interview people, show
on the ground. So what is stopping Mr. President, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, from visiting this site to establish a presence of a political will to ensure that justice is done?
And to stand with the people at
absolutely. A sense of empathy. That's what we need at this time. And this is important because unlike America, we run a presidential system of government. In America, there is a certain level of federalism. In Nigeria, by the constitution and the laws, the president is very powerful. The body language of the president, it reminds me of Buhari, the body language of the president, to a large extent, is policy.
So we've looked at the economy, we've looked at security. Now, what are some sectors that you expect in 2024 to drive Nigeria? I mean, I cast my mind back to say the entertainment. We had for the first time a Nollywood movie gross over 1 billion naira at the box office. I'm talking about the
tribe, yes, A Tribe Called Judah.
A Tribe Called Judah. So what sectors are we expecting in 2024 to drive the progress of Nigeria, to drive the economy, to bring Nigerians that renewed hope?
Thank you so much. I like the fact that you gave an expo to the fact that the entertainment industry is doing wonders. It can now start doing science in 2024 by ensuring that we also look at the back end of the entertainment industry. You see that, we are here on TV, right? We are the, somewhat the face of it. But there are people at the back end getting the job done, crossing the T's and dotting the I's. In the entertainment industry, we need to look at logistics capacity, young people being increasing capacity for logistics, young people in terms of their capacities to be able to handle stage and things like that.
Industry is one and tech. Sorry, I'll have to bring the conversation to an end, but we'll look out for entertainment, look out for tech. Thank you very much, Timi Olagunju, for your contributions on Rubbing Minds. We'll be going on a quick break. Do join us again.